Welcome to the Time and Money Network, where smart business is done. Today's show is my favorite subject in the entire world. It is marketing. Small businesses, guys, you got to know how to market. You could have the best product, but if nobody knows about it, you're going to get nowhere. And right in front of me is Will Harris of The Hustle, website design, marketing, social media, all around great company and great guy. Welcome to the show, Will.
Thanks for the introduction and the opportunity to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'll tell you what, man, you obviously go to the gym.
Yeah, I try to.
You can be the after picture and I'll be the before picture. That probably work out.
Yeah, well, when you're doing the sales portion of your business, most of the time you either taking people to dinner or drinks, so you got to balance it somehow.
You got to just, I just started CrossFit. I can barely walk, man.
Yeah?
My wife and I, what are we doing? What is it called? CrossFit. Yeah, I know, but that intro thing. Foundation.
Oh.
So you have to do 9 minutes of burpees and ball throws and...
I'll stick to the typical gym.
Yeah, but man, I felt like it makes you feel really good. Like your endorphins start running. So we're gonna see how that works. Maybe I'll have my own after picture.
There you go.
And we can go like podcast to podcast and see me shrink. That would be kind of cool, right?
Let me know how that works.
Yeah. So marketing, guys. Marketing. That is everything in business. Now, here's a perfect example, and I don't even know if I can say this, but does McDonald's have the best hamburgers? I'm not going to answer that. You all know the question and the answer to that. But because they do the best marketing, they have billions served. So great products that are not marketed correctly is a sin in business.
Absolutely.
So can you please explain to me just exactly what you do for small businesses and kind of what size businesses you prefer to service?
Yeah. From size business, we really don't have a preference. Just anybody that's willing to allow us to have be creative outside the box and not do just your standard marketing procedures. Because, you do have what everyone believes works, and then you have what really works.
I love that.
Yeah. So
in real estate, that's a funny story. Sometimes I tell sellers, I said, there's two different actions I can take: what you think will work and what actually works.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, people will say you got to have social media, but they don't tell you a strategy to have social media. And most people just have a glorified electronic photo album.
That's right. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah. So,
I post on Facebook, so it gives a timeline of where I've been.
Yeah, and that's okay. But if you're trying to grow a brand or a business, that's not a good thing.
Correct.
So you got to do it differently.
Now, one of my biggest pet peeves with marketing agencies, and I'll just be full disclosure, is sometimes they try to do a Coca-Cola branding campaign for this tiny little plumbing company, and you will get your ass handed to you if you try to do that, because you don't even if you spend $1 million, you won't even get close. So can you explain the proper marketing strategy probably should be based on the size and the agenda of the company?
Absolutely. But that goes into the passion and taking the time to know the company you're representing. And a lot of marketing agencies don't do that. They use a templated strategy that they use for everybody across the board. And it's, and I pick on our educational system, but I'm going to do it again. But it's just like our educational system. You pick, you put 35 people in a classroom with one teacher and you teach them all the same way and you expect everybody to pass.
That's right.
It doesn't work that way.
And if you do that, like we've done, you get election results like we had, which is too close to call,
yeah.
Which is a shame. I'm not even going to go down that road. Zip it up. All right. So, and that's the thing is these cookie cutter templates. I've been in dialogue with several marketing agencies, and you're absolutely right. It's the same stuff. And when I ask them the tough questions, because I'm going to ask you the tough questions, they fold like a cheap suit.
Oh.
So they're just looking to monetize. Give me $1,000 a month, and I'll cut and paste your stupid Facebook ads. And then, and that's the thing. I'm going to go off subject real quick. Guys, small business owners, you really have to learn every aspect of your business, because I've had to be smarter than my patent attorney. This is a recent thing. I filed 3 patents, and they came back written incorrectly. And if I didn't know what I was doing, those guys would have filed incorrect patents. So in business, you have to be smarter than, we're building a house. I got to be smarter than my builder right now. We have to be smarter than your marketing agency. You have to know the basics of what you're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, unfortunately, the vast majority of companies may just want to be templated or cookie cutter, right?
Yep.
So how are you not templated? How do you create this custom approach?
We actually build the relationship with the client. We currently are serving 45 clients on a regular basis monthly, and I know every CEO's name, phone number, and have talked to them multiple times during the week, month, getting to know what their brand is, what their vision is, and I could pitch it to them just like they could, just because I took the time to understand what they were trying to accomplish.
That's very important.
Yep.
The why. Because your clients have to have the right why to get through the ebbs and flows of marketing.
Absolutely.
Because marketing is a game of risk to me. And that's why you make a lot more money in a small business than working for somebody, is you assume the risk. It's really a game of risk. So when you're shelling thousands of dollars out in marketing, it's your calculated gamble that you're going to get this 5x, 7x, 8x return. And that's why a lot of companies, like in real estate, what they're doing now is they're taking percentages of realtors' commissions and then assuming the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to people years ago about that, like the big names that sell advertising. I'm like, the real money is if you guys are really legit, you would assume the risk and then take a piece of the action. Like at the Time and Money Network, we do minority partnerships with certain companies where we assume all of the risk, but then we'll get a percentage of the company because we are that confident in our abilities, right? So you have to watch out with marketing agencies. You want to make sure that they have a history like this gentleman. I believe a Fortune 100 companies you represent.
Yep.
And that is amazing. Fortune 100 companies, and we both have backwards hats, so that doesn't matter. All you haters out there. I love the backwards hat. I'm keeping it because this guy's Fortune. And didn't you say you were on calls with the hat anyway?
Yep, on calls, Zooms. People just kind of know when they see me. They're like, "Yep, that's Will."
That's it. That's the brand. He's branded that,
Yep.
and that's incredible. And now he can do it whenever he wants, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a case study. Let's take our company for an example, Time and Money Network. If someone has a podcast and they're interested in getting exposure, because I think we have very valuable things to say, but if we don't fit the algorithm, we won't show up in certain areas, right?
Right.
So what would you recommend for us as our next move since we're just starting?
So if you're on a budget, and I actually did this and it worked, if you're on a tight budget and you're starting a podcast, ask your guests if you can leverage the collaboration piece on Instagram and do a collaboration post each guest.
Got it.
And then their following is going to see that post, and a lot of them are going to hear that value that you're having on your podcast and actually be educated and learn something, and they'll start to begin to follow you.
Got it.
So it's giving you a lot of exposure.
Awesome. And if they don't have the exposure, what if they're just really smart in business but not in social media?
That can still tend to be a problem because at the end of the day, marketing is about awareness, and you can be the smartest person in the world, but if people don't know it,
That's right.
kind of like if the tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
I make sure everybody knows it.
There you go.
Yeah, everybody will tell you. I make sure everybody knows it. So let's take a case study of a small podcast, and the first thing they can do is get really interesting guests. Do some podcasts pay for guests to really accelerate that? Or if you had an unlimited budget, how would you accelerate the exposure of a podcast?
I mean, if you had an unlimited budget, I would definitely target more of kind of almost like the celebrity type business owners to be on there to jumpstart it, to set the tone of it, and then really pay for some good YouTube ads
Okay.
and with video.
Great. So let's talk about the YouTube ads, because you can throw money at a celebrity, but we want to do things authentic. We want it all to be organic and real. Paying for advertising for a podcast could just make awareness to the really good content. So take an example of this podcast. Let's do an experiment. We'll do it for this podcast. So if you're watching this ad, this was learnt at this podcast. Okay. So we'll take a segment or a clip of this. What's the next move?
So then if you want to get into the advertising for YouTube, then we need to decide what audience do we have, or what audience are we trying to target, and then think about, literally be in their mind and think about, okay, are they watching YouTube videos? And if they are, what YouTube videos are they going to watch? And that's the ones that we want, that's the channels that we want to target for them to see the ad.
How about interesting content that's relevant to this particular week?
As far as of elections?
Yeah, like elections, Elon Musk, whatever's happening now. Should we comment on how our viewpoint is for that?
I don't get into politics. I don't, because at the end of the day, if you bitch about politics, you're just using it as an excuse, and a true entrepreneur is just going to pivot.
Yeah, not necessarily politics, but what's being searched right now. Would that help align with if you did a little snippet about that?
Yeah, you could, or you could just wait until the hype's done in a week or so, and then just relaunch it then.
Got it. Okay. So we take a clip of this, and how do we make sure that YouTube is only going to show it for our demographic? Is there a way to figure out who's searching the YouTube?
Yeah, you can. You'll target those particular channels that you want to go after.
Got it. So when someone's on a channel, then that's when your ad shows?
Yes.
Not necessarily their demographic or age or things like that.
Correct.
Well, that's awesome. So we can take other business podcasts, or maybe someone searching about reducing their taxes for small business, and all of a sudden Time and Money Network is there.
Correct.
Smart. Okay. How would we do it on Instagram?
Instagram is a little bit different, and we'll use the term meta now because Instagram and Facebook are.
Which their stock is getting crushed.
Yeah, it is bad, but I don't have stock in them, so I'm not.
Yeah, I got out at 214 or something.
Oh, then there you go. So you can actually do a little bit more targeting on Meta, especially with the quote unquote Facebook side. You can pick that demographic, that city, and such, and representation, and then adjust your budget accordingly.
Got it. So I'm always interested in finding out our costs per client. So I want to figure out, how can a podcast, or anybody for that matter, break your KPIs, obviously, your key performance indicators, into cost per viewer, cost per subscriber, cost per client. Then you take this metrics and you figure out where is your bottleneck, right? How would you figure out, obviously I think it'd be pretty easy, what did you spend and how many new views, right? But how do you keep business owners like us from trying to do this big branding campaign and stick to unique selling propositions? Here's what we do. Click here to learn more.
That's a good question, and man, we can go all day about that because there's a lot of.
We got 611 minutes.
Yeah, well, there we go.
There we go.
There's a lot of. I would say first you need to establish a baseline because you're going to have your one-offs on your clients. So you're going to have that one big client or that one client, that big fish that you're going after, and you're going to spend more money on them.
Sure.
Whether it's taking them out or sending them gifts or whatever it may be. So you have to. That's going to be your outlier. So establish a baseline of what you do on a regular basis that brings in business that you do per client and break that down.
Sure.
And then if it works, obviously you don't want to change it.
Right.
And then that can give you that dollar figure that you have per either viewer or client that is doing.
Right. And you have to invest in marketing, guys, because time is not on your side.
No.
Your bills and your expenses for your business come every single month. So there is a cost per hour for every hour you're sitting doing work.
Right.
So if you take whatever you normally make and you divide it by 4 weeks and 30 hours, every time you do the wrong action in 1 hour, you can take $300 and just toss it out the window because that hour will never be replaced. So that's why the Time and Money Network really focuses on time. So when you have a marketing budget, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody is terrified of spending more because they don't know their true cost per client. The little part of your brain that's the subconscious or whatever is going to say, oh my God, every time you swipe that card, am I doing the right thing?
Right.
But if you know that if you go with Will and you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to cost you $648 to acquire a $5,000 revenue client, how much money would you spend? So the best metaphor I came up with is like, who's your favorite bank? It doesn't matter.
PNC.
PNC, okay. So if you went into PNC Bank, somebody you trust, and they said, every time you give us $1, Will, we're going to give you back $4.50. How much money would you put in that bank if you trust the bank?
You would put in all of it.
All of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why nobody spends money on marketing, because you don't have that trust in your own ability to spend $1 and get back $4.50. So using Will, we're going to figure out how you can analyze what is your true cost per client, because you already know your revenue per client, but what's that cost? And once you land on that number, guys, you will just dish out money like nobody's business on marketing because you trust the fact that you're getting this multiple.
Yep.
So how can we help strange businesses that are doing weird things and very complex things isolate that KPI to figure out their cost per client?
Uh, I mean, you can do it in multiple ways depending on what you're doing. So obviously, Google ads and advertising, um, it's actually simple because there's reporting, there's plugins on the website and everything to where you can see who went to the website, who called you, what leads were converted. So that's the easier way.
Sure.
The harder way, which is more of a I guess old school, if you will, for lack of a better term, would be more like radio ads and billboards, news media type
Right.
things. Because unless you are asking every client, well, how'd you hear about us? You don't know that they saw the billboard driving down the street.
Right. And you have to make, just like affiliate links, you have to make unique identifiers for advertisements. So whether you're split testing Facebook is easy. It's A test or B test. If you're doing direct mail, have a phone number that is different for each direct mail piece so you can see which one is working better, right? And then you're going to take hickeys. Hickeys is a word, like you're going to make mistakes, man.
Yeah.
But the worst thing you could do as every hour passes in your business is not promote it.
Yep.
Right? So when you first start marketing, it's going to hurt. I've made $30,000 marketing mistakes, and that hurts. That's a Toyota Camry in 1996. I know, right? Yeah, it hurts, right? Now, one of the benefits to marketing and making these mistakes, and this is what I love, I always say this: every dollar you spend with Will, you're going to save 30 to 40 cents. And it ain't coming from Will, but this is a tax deductible expense for your business. So if you made a $30,000 mistake like I have, it's only going to cost you 18 in real cash. That's the genius of owning businesses. You can spend money and it's a 30 to 40% less painful, because of course you have to have the cash. I'm not a CPA advisor. Full disclosure, you have to have the cash to pay the taxes, but you know what I'm saying. Every dollar you spend on marketing. So marketing usually has a lifeline. It's either 2 months or 4 months. You have to know the lifeline of your marketing. I spend $1, and when do I get that $4.50? If you don't know that, that's also going to make you nervous, right?
Right.
So in my business, real estate, I know that if I spend $1 in 72 days, I get back X. And I'm not going to tell you the X because otherwise people got it. But I get X, right? And that gives me the confidence to invest in equipment. We have a direct mail firm that can do hundreds of thousands of mail pieces, right? It gives you the confidence to actually scale your marketing, right? Because I'm really good at real estate, but I'm not the best. There's probably thousands of other agents like me that do just as well or just as charismatic and can negotiate just as well. But the fact that I am doing better is just because I market better. Let people know my services, right? So we want you guys to check Will out and figure out with him what your cost per client is. And that won't happen in the first call. That won't happen in the 18th call. It won't. But you have to spend that money to identify which ad does the best, which platform does the best, which message does the best, and how much did it cost me to generate that revenue.
I'm glad you said that too. You made a really good point about which platform works the best, because not every social media platform is for every business.
Correct. Like TikTok. What's up with this TikTok crap? Sorry.
I mean, you can definitely monetize off of TikTok. I know plenty of people that do really well off of it from an awareness standpoint.
But when you're a 44-year-old male like me with kids, you're wondering what's going on with this country when
I have a friend that he's an electrician, and he just got like 9 million views, and all he does is he does videos of really bad wiring that he comes across and posts it and talks about it.
Yeah.
And like his viewership is just insane.
Leanne, don't you watch a plumber or something?
I have a plumber and a home inspector. The home inspector is really interesting.
In what world are we living in that a home inspection is interesting?
Followers on TikTok.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
fascinating.
just how you use it, and again, the biggest thing across all marketing, if you can make it relatable, you'll win.
Yes.
Because that's what people want. They want to be related to something. They want to take that and be like, oh, I've been through that. I know what you're talking about.
All right. Let's talk about how to create the right message. So this is going to be interesting. Let's pick this orange mug because it just stands out. It's a very beautiful color against all of this white. So let's take this orange mug. Give me some examples in a think tank. We're at a conference room in my orange mug company. How are we coming up with the message to deliver on that ad?
I would probably first define my audience, who I wanted to go after.
Okay, great. So first step, figure out who the ad should go to. And then if it goes to teenagers, that message is going to be different than retirees, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's pick the teenager. What would be a message for the teenager?
Well, I would even go more granular than that.
Okay.
So, teenager, are they in college or high school?
Oh, interesting.
So I would say, okay, maybe they're in college.
Great.
Because college kids drink a lot of coffee during finals.
Okay, so now we have two messages for teenagers, one for non-college, one for college.
Yep.
Then that's why messaging matters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then I'm going to wonder, okay, which teenagers are actually drinking coffee that are going to use this?
Got it. So which teenager is going to college? Males, females, interests?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be like, okay, which college has this color?
Interesting.
Tennessee Volunteers.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So then I'm going to flood them with ads of my orange coffee cup and maybe even spend an extra 20 cents to slap a logo on it after I get permission and sell it for a high ticket amount.
Great. And I believe that we only have a few seconds as they're scrolling on these ads to capture their attention. And that's why video is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
So you could have Michael Scott of The Office carrying that mug and say, aren't you glad you met me?
Yep.
Right? Or
Something
something
silly.
stupid,
Yep.
right?
And people will watch it and laugh at it and probably purchase it.
That's right. And then they'll click on it. And this will now track that the Michael Scott ad got a click, which is your KPI. Mm-hmm. And then over time, you're going to have all of these clicks. And then you can figure out how many clicks it took to sell a coffee mug.
Yep.
And then you know your coffee mug costs $2 and you're selling it for $8. So you know there's $6 profit. And it costs you $1.50 to get $6. And again, you're going to go to that bank and dump all that money, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then that orange coffee mug needs to be presented different on TikTok, right?
Right. It would. Yep.
Okay. So then you take an orange coffee mug and maybe throw 100 of them in the air and watch them all crash, and then somebody slip and say, this won't happen with our orange coffee mugs.
Yep. Something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if you're going to go to retirees with the orange coffee mug, you'd send them a letter with a stamp in a hand-addressed envelope saying, wouldn't you love to play bridge and keep your rum in this orange coffee mug, right? Or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It's all different.
Right. So your message has to change based on the platform, based on the age. As you're out there fighting the war of business, are you going to have time to figure that out? No. And so you got two things going against you. You got the time it takes, and you got the risk aversion you have because you don't know the cost per client.
Correct.
So you need to hire an expert like Will to figure out what's your cost per client over time, and then take all of those hours trying to figure it out and hire an expert that already's done it for years. And that is the key. And that's why the Time and Money Network was created. We don't want to learn a bunch of arbitrary stuff. If I'm out fighting the battle, see, right now I'm fighting the battle of getting this podcast out. So what am I doing? I'm looking for answers specifically to get this podcast out. I can go learn what all these camera guys do, all the different types of cameras, recording techniques, editing techniques. Will that make any difference to getting my podcast out?
No.
No. But if you took a class on podcasting, what's the first thing they're going to teach you? What camera? What mic? So I love to hire away time because time is tradable. Return on time is my biggest equation I operate on. So now I get to show up, do these podcasts, and then I get to bring a great guy like you to ask about how do I get the answer. So guys, if you want the answers and not a bunch of training, that's why you need the Time and Money Network. So if you have a marketing issue, which everybody does, let's do a 15-minute phone consultation. We'll figure out what's your biggest issue with marketing. What are you selling? Who are you trying to get it to? And what have you done so far? And let's figure out if Will can actually help you figure out your cost per client so you can make more revenues per client. It's really simple. Business can be very, very simple if you break it down, right?
Right.
So let's do another drill. Let's take a plumbing company, these boring companies. Let's pretend I decide to buy a plumbing company.
Okay.
And it's doing $250,000 in net revenue. And we know, because we do a lot of acquisitions, stuff. It's doing $250,000 in revenue. We know it's going to trade at a 2-to-1 multiple. So that's a $500,000 plumbing company. And then I come to you and I say, Will, if we can just get that 250 to 350, this $500,000 plumbing company becomes worth 750,000. Which means if I contracted with a guy like Will for a $50,000 marketing campaign and it raised my net income to 350 versus 250, which is not exciting because I spent 50 and only got back an extra 100, but because that company trades at a multiple, that 50 was really worth 300, which will blow a lot of people's minds. So I have this plumbing company. I come to you. I have a $50,000 budget. Will, how do I get to 350?
I'm first going to ask you, where are you operating out of? What's the population? Because if you own majority of the market share there, then maybe we just need to expand outside that area.
Great. So you would ask me to look to scale to other markets because people are the same wherever you go. Have you ever gone to a city and they're talking a different language in America? It's people the same. They have the same fears, the same wants, the same goals. To expand is more of a people problem than marketing problem. So now Will takes me from DFW and we're launching XYZ Plumbing in Austin.
Yep.
Okay, and we're new there. So we have to do different types of ads because we have no statistic on our history.
Yep.
So what would be some clever ads we would run?
Well, with the winter coming, and we do have some freezes in Texas, not much, but we do have some. So we definitely need to do some clever marketing on frozen pipes and water heaters and tankless water heaters and such, because all that becomes an issue. And we're doing this with a plumbing company right now.
Cool.
So they're in Shreveport and Shreveport, Louisiana, and they want to expand outside of Shreveport. And so we're literally doing this. And so that's the campaign that we're kind of running during the Christmas time, with frozen pipes and winterizing your house and getting that ready.
Using video. So, families sitting here enjoying their stuff, and all of a sudden water breaks. Right?
Well, yep, pipe, or they turn on the faucet and no water comes out because the pipes are frozen, or they didn't cap off the faucets outside.
Yep.
And which can cause an issue because now you can't do anything. So yeah.
Yep. And then you'll present that ad differently on TikTok and Instagram and social media and direct mail, and it all needs to be presented differently, but the same core message, right? And do you know what USP is? Unique selling proposition. There's a lot of people that talk about it, Dan Kennedy and all that stuff. So what you want to do is you want to take your product and figure out what is a one-line thing that would demonstrate your unique selling proposition. Like if it was this orange mug, we would say, this orange mug never chips. That's your headline. Right? You have a chip problem, try this orange mug. Unique selling proposition that adds in its core value, right?
Right.
So when you're out there thinking about your products, think about what is the one thing that you do better than anybody else, and then you scale that marketing.
Right.
Right? Like I have another company called Relo Radar. It finds future home sellers, which is a very unique thing. So I went and bought a trademark that says what your home search is missing, which I thought was extremely powerful because everybody's searching, and if they're like, what my home search is missing, that's curiosity, which will get them over to our site, right? So figure out what is the core thing you do the best. Get a guy like Will who's an expert at what he does. Don't try to do it yourself because it'll never work out. Figure out how you can handle your own risk aversion. Just get that few first 1,000 out there. Then with Will, figure out what your cost per client is, and then you'll scale the crap out of your marketing.
And I'll be clear, I'm only an expert because of my team.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a very, very solid team that works very well together. So,
You're only as good as your team.
Yeah.
As your weakest team member, right?
Yeah.
You're only as good as your weakest team
That's
member.
probably me. I'm probably the weakest one.
Well, we all have roles. Yeah. So, visionaries are terrible at admin. They're the worst. So, it's like if you were going to create what's your favorite sport?
Baseball.
Baseball. If you're going to create a baseball team, they're all going to complement each other. You would pick the best person for each position, right? So in business, if you're a visionary and you're not organized, I'm not that organized, you hire super organized people. you know, and it's a controversial subject that some people say work on your weaknesses. I 100% disagree.
Push on your strengths.
Push on your strengths, hire out your weaknesses. You'll never be as strong as your weakness as the next guy. I play tennis, and because of my size, I will never be as fast as those little dudes. Right? But I could hire a little dude and beat that tennis player, right? Wouldn't be the same effect. But yeah, hire out your weaknesses and scale your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything else you want to let the audience know about any interesting things that your company does?
I mean, again, we're just we're very into the creative thinking outside of a box as far as marketing.
Good.
Our strategies are different. We don't template anything. You know, you can take a marketing agency that builds websites, and a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them do a templated process to where you look at all their clients' websites and they pretty much look the same.
Cookie cutter.
Yep, they're very cookie cutter. And with us, you can't do that. You look at 5 clients' websites and you would think of 5 different companies built them, because they're all different, matching the branding, the vision, the communication of what they're trying to portray to their audience. All those play a big part into that.
Super important.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps it up today. But again, my favorite subject, marketing. One of my favorite marketers, Will. And my favorite podcast, the Time and Money Network. Go to timemoneynetwork.com, fill out a questionnaire, get on our schedule. Let's figure out what your marketing problem is, and let's see if Will might be able to help.
Absolutely.
But again, don't go out there and skip it. Marketing is everything. Doesn't matter how good you are, how good your people are, how good your product is. If nobody knows about it, you're toast. So we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching the Time and Money Network, and thank you so much, Will, for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.